Do
Right.
you make a trade with a more accomplished player that may have the ear of the players, or do you just stand pat, see what you have, and then wait for the offseason to go fishing?
I honestly feel like Troy's job depends on this trade deadline. And you know what? Actually, I don't even think that's true because he seems just as reserved and calm as Monty and Gores. All three of them seem fine with just letting this ride out so they can hit reset in the offseason. So for me, if I'm a good team, if I'm a properly functioning team, the trade deadline should be mandatory. You should have made 2 trades already, to be honest with you. You don't sit on a 28 game league record setting losing streak and just say,
Yeah.
nah, we'll figure it out. Wait for Monty Morris. No, bruh. Do something. Do
Yeah.
something real now. And it can't be a panic move. It has to be something that makes sense. But unfortunately, they haven't done a whole lot of that makes sense. So it's kind of a lose-lose, unfortunately. I feel like they need to make a move. I don't think they're in a position where they can just wait. But unfortunately, I feel like a lot of trust from the fan base for sure has been lost based on how they moved thus far. It doesn't seem like they're in any kind of rush to really make these necessary moves. And it's frustrating to hear. Like, I just read James Edwards' piece in The Athletic saying, they seem like they're going to be content with just waiting. Like, that is so alarming and insulting to the fan base, bro.
Yeah. I just don't know what move you can make that will definitively improve your team going forward. Like, I just don't know. I understand what you're saying. The record is a record, and there's no way around that. But it's kind of like, for me at this point, it's like the record is setting something of value on fire, and making a trade is just putting it out.
Right.
But the damage is still done, and you're not gonna fix anything this season.
Nope.
And that's unless you feel, like I said, unless you feel you like the move you make is going to definitively help your team long term, like on the court and in the locker room, as far as growing these guys up. Unless you have that at a reasonable price, I don't see what the point is. Like, I don't really see what that would accomplish other than 5-6 more wins and a little bit better morale. I still think the fan base is still going to be in that same place of not trusting.
Right.
Because they're going to be like, okay, well, they're going to need to see consecutive moves at this point for them to start trusting. So it's just like, I just don't know, man. Like, I wouldn't be happy. I'm not happy either way. First of all, I know none of us are. You not. I'm not. We all mad. But I think at this point, I don't even know if a trade will make me, like a Zach LaVine trade, that wouldn't make me happy, because they're already asking for Bogey and a blue chip player, which is Asar or JD or Jaden.
Right.
No, sorry, I'm not doing that. And that contract is ugly. So I don't know what move you make with 35 games left in the season that's going to dramatically improve your team on and off the court to where it's worth it.
Like you said, at this point, speaking to LaVine specifically, I like him as a player. I do think he does have value. People say he's not a winning player. I don't agree with that. I do think he's a very good player. But at this point, and given the makeup of the roster, he's not lifting this team up that much higher. And you don't need to be making trades. Like, Siakam's name was pitched out. Like, Pistons will be one of the suitors. They shouldn't be, because he's not coming back. And if you're getting a guy like LaVine, the last thing you want is, if you're doing a trade, period, you don't want a guy that's going to be leaving in a year, and you also don't want to be tied down to bad money that's not going to age well over time. And I feel like that's what LaVine's contract is going to be, given his injuries, given his skill set. And I don't know if any other Pistons fans peeped this. Through the first couple years of Cade's career, they didn't like each other at all on the court.
Right.
They chirped a lot. They always had beef on the court. I scouted that out for a while. So
that's funny you say that. Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of really any of the options that I've heard them talk about with the Pistons. Like, I don't see anything.
Yeah, the Siakam trade, as far as impact, if they would have made that trade with the team being good, it could be a Rasheed Wallace type of trade. Them making it now makes it a Blake Griffin type of trade.
Exactly.
Like, it makes absolutely no sense to go get a guy that caliber, pay that much money for a guy that caliber right now. You're literally just wrecking your whole timeline. Literally. Like, it makes absolutely no sense. Like, you think about Rasheed Wallace, he was at the, like, to your point, about not wanting to sign an expiring contract. He was at the end of his contract.
Right.
But guess why he stayed? Because we were winning. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Blake Griffin didn't move the needle because our team wasn't good.
Right.
Great player, even though he was diminished, still a great player, but he didn't move the needle at all, and it set us back. To your point, that's Pascal Siakam. No, we're not there yet. If we were a second round exit type of team every year, playoffs, then okay, we can push our chips to the table and say, let's see if we can make a push for a run for a few years. But now, makes absolutely no sense. And that's kind of why I'm just like, let's just, as painful as this might be, I want to know all there is to know about our core guys and who we have. I want to see how they handle adversity. I want to see how they step up to the challenge. If I know them at their worst, I know for sure I want to keep those guys around. And now I'm definitely ready to build around them. Like, I think this period of time, it can show you who you have.
Right.
Not just what you have, but who you have. You know what I mean? So that's why I think it might be better to just see what you have in its totality instead of maybe masking that by adding somebody to the team, making it temporarily better, but long-term not doing anything.
The biggest improvement that they can see that's going to make this franchise any better is the internal improvement. It's going to be Cade continuing to take his game up another notch. Ivy getting an increased role, taking his game up another notch. Duren staying out of foul trouble. Asar getting more minutes. That's the only thing that's going to help. Even if they do make a move, which I could see Bogey or Burks being moved before next week. But if you do, you're not going to be getting, like you said, you're not going to get a top-of-the-line two-way guy that's going to be here for the next 4 years. You're already setting yourself up for moving those guys for a pick and maybe a marginal player at best. It's not going to be anything that's going to, tip the scale of competition for this team for the next several years. You already screwed that up. It's only going to come if Monty gets out of his own way and we see the growth within this core forward that we expected to see earlier in the season.
Heart of a champion with a shot like Rip Hamilton. Crossover dismantling. Got a smile for the camera lens. Lindsey hunt him and damage him. Bill and Bill with them hands again. Gotta fight to win. Gotta box him out just like Ryman did. Do what Wallace did. Rashida Ben. Championship ring when the season ends. Gotta please the fans. Lace them up. Mace then make the place erupt. A gracious flush. For the win is the fate of luck. The spirit of Detroit when they facing us. Like the microwave stay heating up. Bad boys no policing us. Like Zeke be tough. No crutch from the top of the key be clutch. Defense Joe D, that's us. Get up out your seats, we up. Switch gears like a piston do. Stop and shoot. You got the cue, free throw, gotta execute, no ref with who. Win or lose, get the best of you.